Welcome everyone to Aftershock, where truth plus transparency equals healing, where I invite guests to come on the show and talk about the things that rock their world. Because I believe life is a series of events, which is the earthquake, and then there's a series of aftershocks that follow our lives continuously. And we have to learn how to not only cope, but to believe and live through them and know that it only gets better with time. So today I am super duper excited for this woman I am about to bring on today and her husband. They have really changed my life in a way that they just don't even know yet because I read her book and it came at the best time in my life that I needed it. So I'm going to bring them on right now, and I want you to help me welcome to the stage Pat and Lenny. Hi, Pat. Hey, Lenny.
Hi,
Hey,
how
hey,
are
how
you?
are
Hi,
you?
everyone.
I am good. First, I have to say this. Pat, you've been through a lot of storms, a lot of storms. And I just want you to know your storms have become my rainbow.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That means
Yeah,
a lot. That
because a
really,
rainbow is a sign of great things to come after the storm.
Amen.
And
amen.
reading this book was at a time I really was at a low and nobody knew. And then I said to myself, when Lenny sent me the said I'm gonna send you my wife's book, I was like, oh no, because people send me books all the time. And I have a bunch of books I need to read to review to interview people. But I said, this is my boy. And I've known Lenny since I was 13 years old. And
Right.
what I understand now, no, what I understand now, and sometimes we don't understand why God bring people in our lives. But I understand now at this moment that God brought Lenny in my life when when I was 13 years old, because I would need you at
Oh,
this point in my life.
wow.
Wow.
As the scripture says, I knew you before you were in your mother's womb. So he knew that I would need you. So welcome everybody. This is Pat Ward, and this is her book, Taking Inventory. And we'll bring it up on the screen. My Life According to His Design. So I
Yes.
just want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am a mother of three, a wife to Mrs. Sparrow. I attend the People's Missionary Baptist Church, where I love going every Sunday and just worshiping with my church family. Um, I am employed in social services field. I love traveling, living life, and I'm really just trying to do my best to enjoy the beauty that God has here on this earth, whether it be just through photos, just a short walk, anything like that, because all too often we are so caught up in just the unpleasantries of everyday life and just bills, these different wars and things that are going on. So I'm just really appreciating life and the life that God has given me.
So we know in life that every event is an earthquake. The good ones are an earthquake. When we get married, when we write books, these are all earthquakes and they have aftershocks, and those aftershocks are good. But then we have earthquakes that are not so good. And those aftershocks can be devastating if we don't learn how to cope. So in your book, you talk about, I'll let you tell this part. How old were you when you had your first child?
I was 15. I was 15 years old.
And I just want you to take us on a little journey of what led you to have a child at 15 years old. For the 15-year-olds who are listening right now, or their parents who are in this moment have found out that they are having a baby, just talk a little bit about your journey of what brought you to that position in the first place.
I'm about to get a little emotional. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Excuse me.
When I think back on that time in my life, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. It's okay. Take your time.
I remember just looking for love, looking for someone to hear me, listen to me, um, and just got caught up with those who, let's just say, said they loved me, cared about me. I was vulnerable. easily exploited because of what I was going through and what I was feeling and what I wasn't receiving from home. Yeah, so that pretty much leads you to, down the road of just searching. And sometimes when you search, you find things that just aren't safe. But I did end up having my daughter. And one thing I say in my book, because I love my kids,
Hmm.
having her at that young age. And I don't know, like I just, throughout the book, I just speak on how God guided my life. I just didn't want her to deal with and see and be a part of all of the mess, I'll say, that I had to deal with growing up. And I wanted so much more for her because how she came into this world and what I was dealing with. And I won't speak about anyone because this is about me.
Yes.
But I didn't want her to have to deal with any of that mess. So I wanted more for her. So I'm just thankful and grateful that God guided me where I needed to go. When I had her, it's like I didn't. How can I say? She was like a strength.
Mm.
It's like God gave me her because I didn't know Him, so He used her.
Mm. Mm. She saved your life. Mm. Mm.
Absolutely. And like I still tell people, like my kids are my everything because when I didn't know God, I believe in my heart. And we know that God uses people, places, and things to guide you and protect you
Mm.
and to lead you to Him. And it wasn't church folk
Mm.
that grabbed me and taught me and guided me, but my kids. I knew I loved them and I knew I wanted better for them. So in my heart, I believe that He gave me my kids to save my life
Mm. Mm.
because He had a bigger purpose for me. So I am extremely overprotective of my kids
I know that's
because I will tell you they saved my life. So,
yes.
and I'm sorry, I'm just a little emotional. Whenever I think of my book, whenever I think of the grace and mercy that God has covered me with throughout my life and where I was, like I don't get into too many details in the book because I wanted the book to be appropriate for all ages.
Yes.
But when I sit and think about that time of my life, wow. It was a time. That's what I'm gonna say. It was definitely a time.
So and you also talk about having to deal with separating yourself from the familiar, separating yourself from those people who would judge you because you didn't want that for your children. And there's an isolation period that I felt for
Mm-hmm.
you when I read your book. Like you were by yourself. Like you went and your godmother said it wasn't going to work and all of these things. Just
Yes.
I just want I'm sorry.
Don't even don't.
I'm just
Don't
glad you proved her wrong, but talk
don't
about
don't.
that making that decision because so many people right now go through that cycle of staying in those situations to please other people. One parent has the project, the daughter takes the project, then the
Mm,
granddaughter gets the project apartment, and it just goes on and on because they don't want to feel like if I leave, everybody's going to think I think I'm better than them. Tell me about that moment when you said they just gonna have to think that.
right. So again, wanting more for my daughter and not wanting to walk past the drug dealers, the prostitutes that were in the neighborhood. wanting her to be able to receive that education that we all want for our children.
Wait for 1 second. Hold on. Because I just want people to know the severity of where you were. You said drug dealers and prostitutes?
Drug dealers, prostitutes, like, the whole chirping as you walk past the parking lot and things of that nature. Yeah, it was like I said, it was a quite interesting time. And yeah, so I wanted better for my daughter, because at the time I just had her, and I was afraid, I was scared, and yeah, I was lonely, because when I did move, and me and Lenny talk about this often, because even when he decided to come over this way, I said to him, "Ain't nobody coming over here." I said, "Nobody coming over. I'm telling you, nobody come. You would think that Bayonne is the end of the world. It's like we're going to Europe or somewhere. It's a 20-minute ride across the turnpike." But anyway,
but that's their mindset.
Yes,
that's their mindset of, like you said, the only time we came out of the neighborhood when it was a community thing. You know what I'm saying? So that mindset, you had to break that mindset.
Absolutely. I was in school and I was working over this way. So I just said, you know what? I'm going to just make that move and do what I have to do, because I just didn't want that life anymore for me and my daughter. And it was hard because there were people that I loved, people that, we grew up together.
Right.
We were honestly, it was literally family. And, but I'm so, again, grateful and thankful that though there were people that were trying to discourage me, God was leading me. Wow. And I left because, unfortunately, and me and Lenny, we talk about this often. So I had two cousins. So it was me. I'm sorry, Brandon in the background.
Oh no, let me just tell people.
Okay.
We have special needs children. Mine is upstairs. I don't know what he's gonna do. He might come down here and shut the whole computer down. I might reboot. He might come down here yelling and jumping. I ain't sure. Okay. But what we not gonna do is stop living. I'm gonna do my shows.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna do my shows. I'm gonna talk to y'all. And if he make noise, we're gonna let him make noise. So hey, Brandon.
You got the headphones on. I don't know if he can hear you.
Oh, okay, but leave him alone. Go ahead.
I had individuals that were discouraging me and things like that. But for the most part, I had two cousins. They were my girls. And they're not here no more.
Oh.
They both passed away 2 months apart. About 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Wow.
10 years ago. I would interject and say, because they continued to live that life that she wanted to separate herself from, that she didn't want to be a part of anymore. So they continued down that path. And our pastor often says, sin pays the lowest wages. Sin always pays the lowest wages. If you stay on that road and you don't make any corrections, something's going to happen. God always sends you warnings. He'll tug on you. He'll send signs. Before the storm, there's always a sign before the storm. We choose to ignore those signs. There's always a warning before the mess you get into, and you know it.
Ooh.
You choose to ignore it yourself, willingly ignore it. So I would say to the people that's going through something, take inventory of yourself and say, was I warned about that?
Ooh.
Amen.
And what did I do to correct that? So I'm in this situation now because I had warnings, multiple warnings. God usually gives us multiple warnings. He just don't give us one warning and then bring the hammer down on us. He'll give you multiple ones. And people may struggle and say, well, if God loves me, why would he put me through this? So you ask yourself as a parent, you ask yourself as a guardian, ask yourself as a responsible person, do you allow someone to be destructive without correction? At one point in your life, there has to be some correction.
Yes.
So God will correct you at one point. And it might be a slap on the wrist, or it might be a big smack upside the head.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
A big smack upside the head. So I'll say this. Ashley was right. This book is 8 years in the making. She kept telling me a while ago, I'm gonna write a book. Yeah.
My biggest supporter, right?
I'm gonna write a book. Yeah. I'm gonna write a book, and I think something that you didn't touch on, what actually made her write the book. I think the passing of her mother.
Oh, yes.
Right, the passing of her mother, and she said, "God spoke to me. Now it's time."
Woo.
She said, he told me to stop putting this off. Now it's time, and that's what she did. And I'm sorry to interject in your conversation, but I felt like I had to put my 2 or 3 cents there.
No, this is a conversation that's necessary.
It was like after, so as he was saying, after my mom passed, a lot that was written and set aside and things like that, he made a lot of significant changes in the book. Let's just say he took out some things, and it was a couple of chapters that had recently happened in our lives, and those chapters were quite significant, so they were added in, while others were combined or just taken out. And again, the book also it was cleaned up.
I understand
things in there that were inappropriate, and for certain readings. And but yes, he cleaned it up, and this is what it evolved into, and I love it.
I do too. And I read Beyonce's mother's book, Matriarch.
Oh.
And your book, it gave me the same feeling.
Wow.
When you talked about your mom, because she talked about her journey and understanding why her mother behaved the way she did. And when you talked about that in your book, about finally when your uncle left her something,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys were able to get clarity on why she wasn't affectionate, on what happened to her, it changed the dynamic of your relationship with your mom. So
Absolutely.
that and people, you might think I'm crazy for comparing it to Beyonce's mother's book, but it's up there with
Wow.
the book. And it just changed again for me that we should have so much grace and mercy for our parents, because we don't even know their storms, because they didn't have life coaches and counseling. They just went through it and shut down. So a lot of our parents died heavy. And I'm
Yes.
glad that we have the grace to die light. So now you have your son.
Mm.
And one of the things that touched me the most in that book, and this angered me so bad when somebody said it
You're
to me.
about to make me cry again.
I'm sorry, but this book touched me because it touched areas of my life that other people don't know, but you know. And when you said that somebody said to you, "Do you think this is punishment?"
Mm.
Somebody said that to me one time, and I just was like it hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want you to talk about that just a little bit of what that did to you.
To this day, that person don't even remember saying that to me.
Wow. Oh.
And I won't point it out, and I won't ever, I won't ever say anything. But it still hurts. I'm just glad that I know better now.
Mm-hmm.
That I've studied,
Yes.
and again, I'm able to look at my life, and I just know that I went through some things. Some things were my fault, and some things, well, for the most part, it was my fault, right? But I'm like, I did a lot of some stuff, right?
But no, but listen, at the age of 12.
Well, I was just gonna say, at one point, I didn't know any better. I was
Right.
searching and looking and just trying to figure life out. So I was kind of young then. Yeah, I was young then. But
Yes.
I know better now, and I'm just grateful for that. So I don't need to point out what someone said to me, or say, this is what you said to me, and now I know. No, I just know I need to stay in prayer. I need to just continue to live in love and forgiveness.
Yes.
And just, again, the grace that God has showed me, I just try to continue to share that with others. And every time I'm blessed, I just try to extend the blessing out to other people. So
That part of the book, that part of the book is going to free so many people who feel like their children are being punished by their actions. And I like that you added scripture with it to move us forward and let us know, like, no, God is not punishing your
Not
children
at
for
all.
something that you did. And one more thing about having a special needs child, and that's a earthquake. And it
Mm,
was an earthquake in my life when they gave me the diagnosis of autism, and I was like, what? Like, what is that? Because I really didn't know back then because it didn't affect me. And mourning the loss of the child I thought I was getting was a process that I had to go through. And did you have to go through that process of mourning the loss of the child? Like the first thing we do, like, does baby have 10 toes? Does baby have 10 fingers? Does baby have 2 ears? Is the ears
right.
dark? But to get a child that you see and you're like, oh, okay, everything's good. And then to get the diagnosis, did you have to go through the mourning process of, because I love my son, once I was able to let go of what I thought I was getting.
Okay. Well, that was really deep. Let me just let you know that. But no, I didn't have to go through that process. I was 6 months pregnant and went into labor with Brandon.
Oh,
Brandon had a brain hemorrhage and a stroke.
wow.
So he was born 1 pound, 15 ounces,
Ooh,
dropped down to 1 pound, 8 ounces. He had a stage 4 brain bleed and required immediate shunting, which is a tube that runs from his brain. At the time, it ran into his stomach cavity, and the fluid, the brain fluid, it drained into his stomach. He was having multiple seizures. He was vented. He was in the NICU unit for like 3 months. So it was quite busy when Brandon was born. But I was blessed. Like I said, God just guided my life. I ended up, before I got pregnant with Brandon, landing a job as a group home manager for a home for adults with intellectual disability. Working with that particular agency is service children as well as adults.
wow.
So, right. So I was able to be educated on the supports and services that would be available to my son.
Wow.
So though it was a very I don't even want to say like a tragic moment because my baby was still alive through all that he was going through. Um,
That is powerful.
I was just able to get the supports and services that I needed to help him to live a prosperous and productive life. And by the grace of God, I was able to move along in the field and continue to educate myself and advocate for even more individuals with intellectual disabilities, and at the same time ensuring that Brandon receives all the supports and services that he is entitled to, and then what's just out there in the community for him. So I've been blessed, and like I said, God just
Trey, if I can say this,
Yes.
I remember having a conversation with Pat some years ago, and she told me she kind of felt that something was different about Brandon when she was carrying him. So she knew something was different about this baby. She knew it wasn't going to be anything normal about him. She knew it was something different for a while. And I asked her, I said, what did you want most? She was like, I just wanted to bring my baby home. I didn't care if he had one leg, one eye. That was my child. Someone even offered, they even came to her in the hospital and said, you can leave this baby here.
They sure did.
And the state will take care of this baby. And she was like, no, that's my child. Why would I abandon my child? And she was committed.
Still committed.
Committed 1,000% back then. And she's still committed 1,000% now that, you know what? That's my child and he'll forever be my child. And these are my children. Like she said, she's like a mama bear when it comes to her kids. You can mess with her, but mess with her kids, you got a problem.
Ooh, and you're not his biological dad.
I am not, but
And
he is mine.
yes, and I just want to say to you, there are lots of us, including myself, who have absent dads who don't want to deal with the diagnosis of a child with special needs.
So I'll say this to you. Well, you know me for a long time.
Yes.
You knew my father who raised me was not my father.
Yes.
the man who raised me was your complexion and Pat complexion, light, bright down and white, and he was proud. He was proud. Tracy, you know, we go way back.
Yes.
He was proud to walk down the street, hold my hand, and say, "That's my child." So, I remember when I told my mother I was going to get married, and she said, "Are you ready to take on this responsibility of that comes along with this?" You know, she has children, and I said, "Mom, I had the best teacher in the world. My biological father didn't raise me. He taught me how to be the man that my father wasn't for me. He taught me how to be a father." So I had made a promise to myself and promise to God that any child that I claimed that I brought into this world, or any child that I was going to be a part of, I'm going to be committed to them 100%.
Whoa. Wow. I just have to say, because sometimes I don't want to deal with my special needs kid. And he's mine biologically. And I just be like, I'm about to leave him here. And I'm not going to leave my baby, but I just want to commend you on.
There were some challenges. There were some challenges in the beginning, but you know what? He has taught me patience. I never had patience in my life.
Oh.
He has taught me so much. He probably taught me more than I have taught him.
Oh my goodness.
To be honest with you, yes, he has taught me so much patience. I didn't have patience, but now he'll ask the same question 100 times. I have no problem answering him 100 times. When before I would be like, "Pat, can you make him stop? Pat, he's asking us, Pat, you drive me crazy." So now I was like, okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was interesting in the beginning, but yes, Brandon has taught all of us a lot. And one is just, regardless of what you're going through, to keep praising God and thanking God for everything. Because Brandon has been through some things.
Yes.
The past,
and you have too. And you have too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brandon, most of all, has taught us, like Pat just said, wake up just praising God every day. Enjoy life for that day.
Yes.
You never know what tomorrow may bring. The Bible speaks of tomorrow taking care of itself. So enjoy today.
Amen.
And deal with the graces and mercies that you were given with for that day, because today's graces and mercy are not good for tomorrow. They expire at midnight.
Oh, come on now.
They expire at midnight. So at 12:01, you get new graces and mercy. It starts by getting up in the morning.
Pass the collection plate, somebody. Let's go. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but sometimes you just need to hear these things because we're going through so much. And in the book, I just love the book because in the book there was what is the saying? Because this is not in the Bible, and I just found this out I think last year. You talk about in the book how you weren't qualified for these positions, but you got them, and you were prepared, and people were watching. So when you took off time to take care of Brandon, you had all kind of people coming for you for positions that you were like, I'm not qualified for this, and they called you. It was like, you got the job. How do you even just process that? God doesn't call the qualified; He qualifies the called.
I gotta remember that.
Yeah, that's the little saying.
But like I said in the book, back then I wasn't a praying woman. I was just grateful, and I was just happy. I was like, all right, I got it. Okay, I'm gonna do what I have to do with it now that I got it, because I got to take care of my baby girl. That was the first one, and again, that was God's guidance, and I feel like He, guided me to a bigger charge, especially with Brandon. And then there's other things that I do, in the community and within my employment that require me to have an understanding of the intellectually and developmentally population. So, with, again, God's guidance and His protection over my life, His grace and mercy have gotten me where I am today. And I'm just, again, grateful and thankful. He's a way maker.
Listen, I'm just listen. And then as things start to get better and you get settled in your home, and I love the story how you got the home for $125,000. I just wanted to know, I read this book. I actually read the book twice. I just had to go back and look at some things because I wasn't in a good place when I received the book. I was like, really like, I'm tired. Like I don't feel like this no more. And then your book just
Can I say something? I told Tracy to purchase the book, and I said she's not gonna purchase it. I'm gonna send it to her.
Listen, I don't even remember you telling me to purchase the book.
I'm like, what's your address? I'm gonna send you this book.
Yeah, and I was just like, another book to read. Like, and let me tell you this too. I'm gonna be real honest. I don't read books. This is why when people send me books, I have a problem because I love Audible.
Okay.
Because when I read books, including the Bible, I listen to the Bible on Audible because I go to sleep. Like I just be sleep. Like I read one page, I'm sleep. But this book, I'm telling you, I had text Lenny and said halfway through, I was like, this is great. And then I text him like 2 or 3 hours later because I was done. Because I was like,
well, see, my goal was to make it definitely a very easy read because I wanted people to read it and get it. So often we make God and just so difficult. People just try to make Christianity and just make things so difficult. And it's not that hard. It's just not that hard. He loves us and he's going to continue to love us, you know.
My best friend's grandmother said something that she says to me, and we crack up about this. She said, don't be so churchy that God can't use you earthly.
Amen.
Yeah. Y'all just too churchy. So everything's going good. You have your life in order. You got a great job. You got your man. You got your house. And then the fire. Another earthquake. Right when you get settled, here comes that earthquake. What were your thoughts? I mean, we good. Brandon's
I was broken. I was upset. You don't understand. Listen, I worked hard. God, you guided me, but it was hard.
So
why you taking my
so there was work to be done to the house, and every year we would pick a project and we would do it. What are we gonna do this year? Oh, we're gonna do over the bathroom. Oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. And so God made it where He rewards those who are diligent, the ones who are faithful to Him. He rewards you. So when the fire happened, we came back home to a new house. But through the whole process, it was a process. It was. So I knew this was Pat's baby. The house was Pat's baby. So I was just gonna be the muscle. I stayed quiet. Pat told the contractor, look, I got him on the leash, but once he get off the leash, I can't get him back on. So the process was going, but then it got a little bumpy, and I got off the leash.
Oh.
Yeah. She said, I told you I can't get him back on the leash when I got him off. And, because home is home, and there's no place like home. When the fire happened, I think she put it in the book. I remember us walking down the stairs, her saying to me, you think our house going to catch on fire? I was like, nah, that's like 3 houses away. That's what she didn't mention. The fire started 3 houses away, and it made its way to our house. So we're walking down the stairs out of the house, they panicking. And I'm like, everybody just calm down. We're going to be okay. And she says to me, you think our house going to catch on fire? I was like, nah, we good. Half hour later, the whole side of our house was on fire. Pat fell to the ground on her face and said, God, I trust you, because she was always used to being in control of everything. She's a planner.
Yes.
She's a planner. So if we plan to do something, we can go say we're going to hang this picture behind us. Pat going to have a plan A to Z. I'm going to take a nail. I'm going to nail it in there, and it's going to get up there straight. If it's crooked, it's crooked. It's going to be like that. But she's going to have a plan just in case something fails. She didn't have that. So now that was God's way of testing her. Like, you said you trust me. Do you really trust me? So through that whole process, I stayed quiet for the most part. And she kept, we always, before we did anything, we always went into prayer. We always went into prayer like, God, guide us. If it's just not for us, don't give it to us, don't present it to us. And the project, it came along 18 months later, but it came along. It came along and a lot better than when we started. We're in a better place now.
It was definitely a humbling experience for me because, again, like Lenny said, I'm and I don't like to say in control, but I always have a plan. And this was, and things do happen unexpectedly, right? But this was like, it was huge. You know, we had nowhere to go, you know, in our minds, like, where are we going to live? What do we do now? I've never even known anyone, honestly, who's like been in a fire and came out of it. So I'm like, I'm clueless to this. So it was very difficult for me. And it was very humbling for me because I couldn't do anything for my family. I couldn't help my family. I couldn't provide any direction. We were just like, you know, it's just like, oh, what's next?
Literally, we left with the clothes on our back. And,
Wow.
and for
And the
some
pajamas.
for some reason, I don't know what made me do it. It was nobody but God. I took the safe that we had all our passports, social security cards, and I just happened to walk out the house with that in my hand. Because they said the house is done. We're closing up. You can't go back in there.
Whoa.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we left with the clothes on our back.
Wow. And they wouldn't let you get nothing?
And the safe, nothing. That's it. House is done.
Wow. That is like the strength that y'all have is incredible because, you know, we fold under pressure. Thank God you guys know God and you have each other because it could have been, there's so many things that cause divorce and separation in our lives. Thank God your foundation is God. And then getting through that and then losing your mom.
Yes.
There's like so many things that you've been through that in the book, like you made me believe again that no matter what I am going through, there's going to be victory at the end of it. No matter what I'm going through, there's going to be victory. And when you talk about knowing that your mom loved you when she couldn't talk anymore and she just grabbed for your hand, I just need you to talk about the moment of her letting you know that
It's gonna cry again. It's gonna cry again.
just letting you know that you were loved.
First of all, one day me and Lenny were there with her, and she asked me for a kiss. Now that was the shocker. I was like, did she just say what I think she said? I mean, I literally was like, say that again? I mean, knowing that she was struggling to speak, I was like, no, you're gonna say that again. And yeah, I'm happy that I feel like the whole time she knew I was there for her. And we didn't have an easy our relationship was strained. Let me just say that. And it was strained. For me, it was strained because I didn't have that mom. I was always taking care of her, even from that 12-year-old girl, making sure she was okay. So I never had that mom to take care of me. I was always the one taking care of her. So cleaning, and I mean, what I'm, you know, again, not to go into too much detail, but just always cleaning up her mess. And no matter what I tried to do to make things better for her, she was just very resistant, very difficult, and just there was always more mess to just have to deal with. And but for her to, I guess you could say, acknowledge that I was always there and just let me know that she knew. It meant a lot to me just to feel like she knew that I was there for her, you know, regardless of how strained our relationship was.
This is amazing.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Like there are so many young women, including myself, who didn't get the love and support that we needed from our mothers. But again, you clear that up in the book that she gave what she could give based on what she got. She was from foster care. Her mother gave her up. So there were things that were inside of her that maybe there was fear of loving and losing again.
And I
And
do believe that.
yeah, and for you to be able to get that from the gift that her uncle left was really the gift of opening up the door for you guys to find out what was really going on with your mom. And it just resonates so much with me because my mom had drug and alcohol problems that people who weren't close to us didn't know.
Okay.
So when she was drunk, I was the mother. When she was sober, she was the mother. But it was a lot of me taking care of her with me and my younger brother, because my older siblings, they kind of went to California. My older sister was back and forth because it caused her so much trauma and stress. And then my older brother who passed and my other older sister, they went and lived with my dad. So they didn't know the severity of my upbringing, but you do.
Mm.
That's why I love you. You know. No, when I was reading the book, I was like, God, like somebody knows how devastating it is. My mother did not, I didn't go to college because my mother, she didn't sit down and say, what you want to do? You want to fill out a college application? No, I was so busy taking care of her and running to my best friend's house, who's still my best friend to this day, to escape whenever I could. So, but I know my mother lost her mother when she was 15 and her father was a womanizer. And I know her story a little bit. So I knew she was parenting through trauma. But I thank you for sharing these things because so many people are going to be free from this. So the title of the book is Taking Inventory, My Life According to His Design. Why is that the title of your book?
Because again, taking inventory, I just sat back and thought about all the wonderful things that God has done in my life and how he has blessed me to this day to get me to where I am today. His grace and it's only because of his grace and mercy that I'm able to sit here, that I was able to write this book, that we are talking right now. My life according to his design, because I look at my life as I took the inventory and I see how that young girl who was lost, alone, and didn't know what to do, how he just guided me through school, employment opportunities, purchasing homes, caring for my children. I could not have done that. He designed that. He did all of that. That was not me. That was all God. And
Trace, if I can add too, with a lot of things that she didn't go into depth of the book, of all the people who helped her along the way, like apartments she has gotten that the rent was much higher, but they charge her a lower price. No, yeah, her life story is amazing. That it's incredible that, and you look back, you're like, it could be nobody but God that just guiding you and put these people in your path where you collide and they bring you up another level, or God does the things to get you right where he needs you to be.
He putting out book too, but I'm just saying, like, he telling he telling you all the business in book two, but
I'm waiting for book 2, girl. But those are those earth angels.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes it's like, does the person really exist? Like, where is this person? You know what I'm saying? Like, you ever have those moments like, where did the person go?
When you're like, wow, like, okay, like, thank you. Yes. I mean, I've run into some really wonderful people through this journey. I really have. I've met some good people. I've met some, not so good people, but I have definitely met some good people who just, again, encourage me. And that's what I say in the precise of chapters 1 through 4. He's used people to like encourage me, to lift me up, to bless me, to just people in my, I've had some really wonderful people just really help me and take care of me and just guide me along the way. And he used these people because I didn't know him. So these people, he used them to just bring me closer to him. Even going to church, I mean, I've had some. I can remember my first journey back into church. I was driving home from work one day with a coworker, and I was telling her what I was going through and how I wanted to go to church. And she just said, "Well, Pat, you know this person, you know that person, you know," like she was just naming all these different churches that we knew, and that's how I ended up in that church where I cried. So I mean, like just her encouraging words that Friday coming home from work. She just like gave me what I needed to say, okay, Sunday morning, me and my kids going to church because I need this.
I know that's right. What final words would you want to give to somebody that is just going through the storm right now? Whether it's a 15-year-old girl who just found out she was pregnant, or somebody's house just burned down and they had to leave with the clothes on their back, or somebody whose mother is not mothering the way that they want a mother, or somebody that's just got the diagnosis of a special needs child. What encouraging words would you like to leave with them right now?
I want them to know that they are loved. God loves us. I want them to know that it may look dark right now, but if they just pray and ask God for guidance and comfort and just be still for a little while, you'll hear him. He will talk to you and he will guide you and he will lead you where you need to go.
Be still and know that I am God. Sometimes we just need to know that. I just want you to know that I say this to people all the time. Everything that we've gone through is to be the light at the end of somebody's tunnel. And I believe that. And I tell people everything I went through because I'm supposed to be the light at the end of somebody's tunnel. I talk the talk real good, but I want you to know that you are the light at the end of my tunnel.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And you know, when I wrote the book, I told Lenny, I was really scared. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I was petrified, honestly, about putting it out there because I'm like, I'm putting some things out there that, you know, a lot of people don't know about us, don't know about me. And I started to get a little uncomfortable, but I knew it was just the devil like playing on me and, you know, just trying to deter me from sharing the word that I have in this book with other people, because I could tell you that honestly, after writing this book, and I've spoken to a few people who've actually read the book, I feel like I've touched a few people, and that's what God wanted me to do with this book. And I told Lenny, if I just touch one person, that's all I want to do with my story. It doesn't have to I don't have to, you know, it's not about money, fortune, fame. I didn't write that for any of it. I just wanted to really touch someone, especially that young girl, that young 13, 14-year-old girl who was struggling, who just feels lost and alone. That's what I really wanted to touch her.
Well, you have done what God has called you to do because you have touched my heart, my soul, and my spirit. And you have given me renewed hope and faith in what's to come in my life and my son's life. And that God can realign anything that is misaligned if it is in his will. And I just want to just thank my brother Lenny for just doing God's work of sending me the book. Like, because God tells us what to do. And we're like, let me just send this girl this book. Because he doesn't know what a dark place I was in. And nobody knew, because I'm always praying for everybody and I'm doing my lives. But I was really in a sunken place. And your book just revived me. And it was just fresh water to my soul. So I thank you. And if there's anything that I could do for you guys, please let me know. And the last thing I want you to do is I want you to tell people where they can find the book.
Oh, well, Taking Inventory, My Life According to His Design, can be found on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and you can reach out to Lenny. Because we also are selling the book ourselves as well.
So where can they find you, Lenny? On Instagram, Facebook?
Facebook, Lenny Sparrow.
Okay, so y'all heard it here. Taking Inventory is available on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. You can also reach out to my brother Lenny Sparrow on Facebook. You want to get this book. It is a New York Times bestseller life-changing fountain of hope, joy, and peace.
What's your name?
Hey, Jermaine.
You need help? Come on. You did good. Want to say hi? Come in. Look right here. And now. No? Okay, forget it. Hold on. There you go. Take an inventory. My life according to his design is available on Barnes and Nobles and Amazon. And you can reach out to Lenny Sparrow on Facebook. Please get this book. It will change your life. It will give you restored hope and faith. So I thank you, Lenny, and I thank you, Pat, for giving me your time. I really appreciate you guys. This is Aftershock. I'm your host, Trey Kearney, and we will see you next time. Peace and blessings.